Over the next few weeks, we are going to begin diving into some of the key skills that you need in order to be successful on the reading tape test. We're going to begin our first module by learning how to identify, understand, and use supporting details in different types of reading passages. In our first lesson, we are going to begin by learning how to identify details in literary texts. As we begin the lesson, let's refresh ourselves on what details actually are. When you look for supporting details, typically you're going to be answering the questions who, what, when, where, and why. So details can be defined as evidence. For example, when we look at literary texts, short stories or poems, fables, those type of texts, anytime that you make a statement about it, you need to include details to support that statement. Any details that you use to support a particular statement can also be called evidence. Let's take a look at an example and see if we can practice a little bit with identifying a detail that supports a statement. So in this example, we have a statement about a character's feelings, and we're going to use a detail within the passage to help support it. Our statement is Chad was excited for his guests to arrive at his birthday party. The detail from the passage that we use is Chad couldn't be still. He kept getting up to check for new guests. Well, how does this detail from the passage support our statement that Chad was excited? Well, if we think about it, anytime that someone keeps getting up to check for guests, it shows that they're probably excited. So we can use this details to support our statement. Let's try another example. Our reading passage states, she did not carry a lunch tray. She did carry a large canvas bag with a life-size sunflower painted on it. The lunchroom was dead silent as she walked by. She stopped at an empty table, laid down her bag, slung the instrument strap over her chair, and sat down. Our question is, we need to find the detail to show that the other students don't quite know what to make of this new girl. So let's see if we can identify a detail from the passage that supports our claim that the new students don't know what to think of her. She did not carry a lunch tray. She did carry a large canvas bag with a life-size sunflower painted on it. The lunchroom was dead silent as she walked by. If you look closely at that statement, why was the lunchroom dead silent? Well, if there are other students in the lunchroom and they aren't saying a word as she's walking by, it seems to me that that will be a good clue that they don't quite know what to think of her. So let's take a look at our solution and see if we are correct. And as you see, the solution shows the lunchroom was dead silent as she walked by. So this detail from the passage lets us know or informs our statement that the new students don't know, or the students in the school do not know what to make of the new girl. So, since they are dead silent, they're not quite sure what to think. So now that we've had an opportunity to refresh on supporting details, let's see if we can put it into practice. So the following text describes Alice falling down a rabbit hole into Wonderland. Select the best detail to show Alice does not think she will return home that night. So, we're asked to find the best detail to show that Alice does not think she will return home. Okay, so this is our question. Let's take a look at the passage. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice began talking again. Dinah will miss me very much tonight, I should think. Dinah was the cat. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. So which statement within this passage provides the best detail to show that Alice does not think she will return home that night? Well, if you look at the quote, Dinah will miss me very much tonight, I should think. So why does Alice think that Dinah is going to miss her very much? Why would her cat Dinah miss her? Well, if Alice is not going to be going home, or at least she thinks she's not going to be going home, that particular detail would support our belief or support Alice's thought that she's not going to be home tonight. In this case, that would be our statement. Let's take a look at another example to practice identifying details in a literary text. In this case, we are going to be looking for the best detail to show the plowboy is cruel to young horses. Okay, so which detail supports our claim that the plowboy is cruel or mean? So the word cruel refers to him being mean to the young horses. Let's take a look at our passage. There was a plowboy, Dick, who sometimes came into our field to pluck blackberries from the hedge. When he had eaten all he wanted, he would have what he called fun with the colts, throwing stones and sticks at them to make them gallop. We did not much mind him, for we could gallop off. So which statement in the passage supports our claim that Dick, this plowboy, was cruel to the young horses? Well, if you look at the second sentence, when he had eaten all he wanted, he would have what he called fun with the colts. Okay? The word colts means young horses. Okay? So that's what we're looking for. He's mean to the young horses. Look at the next part of the sentence. Throwing stones and sticks at them to make them gallop. Okay, so he would have what he called fun with the colts. So maybe it was fun for him, for the plowboy, but what was his fun? That's right here. Throwing stones and sticks at them to make them gallop. Does that sound like something fun for the horses? No, in this case, this sentence supports our claim that the plowboy was mean or cruel to the young horses. In some cases, when we read literary texts, we may have to identify what are known as story elements to support claims or to answer questions about a text. So let's take a look at some of the most common story elements that we will encounter on the TABE test, and just the most common ones that we will need to identify in any literary text. So the first story element that we need to know is setting. All right, so the setting of a story is, of course, where it takes place. Now, a couple of things that you do need to remember is that the setting can contain more than one scene or place where events happen. Here we're told, for example, in the story of Little Red Riding Hood, the setting of the story is a forest, but there are some parts of the story that happen on a path in the forest, and some happen inside Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother's house, which is also located in the forest. So it's good to know all of the various settings where the story takes place. If you think of a movie, for example, the movie Avengers is a good example where the story takes place in different parts of the world, but the majority of the story takes place in New York City and takes place within different parts of New York City. The next story element that you need to be able to identify is character, the specific characters within a story. So characters can be people or animals that act, that do something within the story. So your most important characters, of course, are known as your main characters. When you're reading the story, it's usually about the main character and it follows the various things that they do. The next element is plot. So the plot is the events that happen in the story, or it could be the actions that the characters take. It's what the characters do. Typically in a literary text, your plot is going to unfold in the order that it happens. So it's going to start at the beginning and happen in chronological order. The next element of what you need to be aware is known as the problem. More commonly, you will see it referred to as the conflict. So conflict equals the problem in the story. So usually the conflict is the result of something that goes wrong for the characters, or it's something that needs to be fixed or changed. So it is this conflict or this problem that will cause the characters to have to take action. The last story element of what you need to be aware is what is known as the solution. Most commonly, it will be referred to as the resolution of the story. So resolution also means the solution. So the problem or the conflict is what kicks off the story. Once that problem is solved or that conflict is resolved, that's what's going to wrap up the story. We touched on the Avengers, for example. The problem there is the potential threat of an alien invasion. So what was the resolution? The resolution, of course, was the big battle that took place in New York, and the Avengers were able to defeat Loki and the invading aliens. So now let's take a look at an example to practice identifying story elements and looking for specific details to support evidence for a particular question or a particular claim that we make in the story. So let's look at one more reading passage to see if we can identify where the story is set. One tip that you can use when TABE testing is before you read the passage, read the question first. Also, look at each of your answer choices. So we're going to begin with that. What is the story's setting? So our options are a beautiful forest in the year 2072, a big apartment complex long ago, a colony on Mars sometime in the future, or a science school on the moon in modern times. So as we start reading the passage, let's see if we can identify where the story takes place. Axel was woken by the shrill Mars colony emergency alarm. Okay, so why is Axel awoken by a Mars colony alarm? Could that be a clue as to where the story takes place? He jumped from his bunk and pulled on his protective spacesuit. It was probably just a drill, but he didn't want to mess up if there really was a crack in their shield. Okay, so it looks like we have more clues. Dad came in wearing his spacesuit and helmet. Aha! He gave Axel a thumbs up. The all clear bell sounded and his dad removed his helmet. All good, he asked? Axel nodded. Everything was fine, except that he missed Earth so much. So, we have several clues here that can help show us where this story is taking place. So first, the Mars colony emergency alarm, specifically focusing on the phrase Mars colony. All right, we're also told that he pulled on his protective spacesuit. We're told that there is a crack in their shield. Dad came in wearing his spacesuit and helmet. He missed Earth so much. Now, when we take all these clues together, what does that tell us about where the story is taking place? If he misses Earth so much, it's obvious he's not on Earth. So let's see if we can identify where it takes place. So, beautiful forest in the year 2072. There are no clues that point us to a forest. A big apartment complex long ago. Does it sound like they're in an apartment? If they're throwing on spacesuits and there's cracks in the shields and they're missing Earth? No. A colony on Mars sometime in the future. So we're told about the Mars colony emergency alarm. That clue alone tells us where the story takes place. The last one, a science school on the moon in modern times. Well, obviously there's no mention of the moon, but we are told about the Mars colony. In this case, the story's setting is on a colony on Mars sometime in the future.